Two California motorcycle gangs are fighting what's being called the worst biker feud in years and years. So 2 bikers have actually been killed and half a dozen more have been wounded since the fighting broke out between these gangs. So we're talking about Hells Angels and the Vagos.
Over 70 bikers stormed a ballroom with axes and hammers. A man was shot dead while pumping gas. Another was assassinated outside his apartment in broad daylight. These weren't random attacks. They were part of a violent war between the Hells Angels and the Pagans. So, how did 2 biker clubs turn the East Coast into a war zone no one wants to cross?
Well, a murder that could lead to more violence in the Bay Area. Right now, 3 motorcycle gang members are locked up accused of killing the leader of a rival gang in Pasco County.
The Pagans Motorcycle Club started back in 1959 in Prince George's County, Maryland. At first, it was just 13 guys who shared a love for bikes and brotherhood, but things changed fast. By the late 1970s, they weren't just a group of riders. They were one of the most feared outlaw clubs in the country. They partnered with dangerous groups like the Bloods, the Latin Kings, and even the Mexican cartels. Through those connections, they built a criminal empire, especially in the meth trade. When the Pagans started to crumble in the early 2000s, the Hells Angels saw their chance. The Pagans had been hit hard by police raids. Dozens of members were locked up, including their national president. With their leadership weakened, the Angels made a bold move and set their sights on Philadelphia, a long-time pagan stronghold. Their first play was violent. They tried to take out the Pagans' Philly chapter president, Steve "Gorilla" Manson, in a broad daylight hit. He was shot 9 times at close range, but somehow survived. That failed attempt didn't stop them. Next, they targeted Thomas Thinker, Wood, Manson's second-in-command. But instead of shooting, the Angels offered him something else, a spot in their own ranks. Wood shocked everyone by accepting. In 2002, he and several other pagans flipped and joined the Hells Angels West Philly chapter. That betrayal cut deep. In the outlaw world, switching sides is a death sentence, and the pagans knew they had to respond.
There was the Hellraiser. There was the Hellraiser ball.
Oh, here we go with the Hells Angels again. You're asking me about the Hells Angels and all. Okay.
You were there.
Yes.
The Hells Angels get ambushed by the Pagans.
No, nobody got ambushed.
On February 23, 2002, the Hells Angels hosted what was supposed to be a classy event, the Hellraiser Ball, in Long Island, New York. It had everything: motorcycle showcases, live music, a tattoo contest, even a red carpet. Bikers in tuxedos were shaking hands and posing for photos, with media and fans gathered around. But the celebration didn't last long.
There was myself and Sonny Bargo. We were in a room signing autographs. His book came out, my book came out, we were there.
Just after 4 p.m., 10 vans rolled up outside the venue. Inside were over 70 armed pagans from all across the East Coast, ready for war. They charged into the building with guns, bats, axes, and hammers, destroying exhibits and attacking anyone in their path.
And there was somebody happened to be a Hells Angel in the lobby. They came in and started hitting people with axe handles. And a couple of guys got shot, one guy got killed, and they all ran out.
The Angels quickly fought back, and chaos broke out in the lobby. Bikers were stabbed, beaten, and bludgeoned. Then Raymond Dwyer, an Angel, pulled out a pistol and opened fire, wounding 5 and killing 1. Police arrested 73 bikers. That violent day turned a cold rivalry into a full-blown war between the Pagans and the Hells Angels. After switching sides and joining the Hells Angels, Thomas Thinker Wood didn't just fade into the background. He climbed the ranks fast.
It was about 24 hours ago, right in broad daylight.
Jen, good evening to you. And the members of these gangs appear to be going to extreme measures to hurt each other. Yeah.
From being second in command of the Pagans in Philly, he became the acting president of the Hells Angels Philadelphia chapter.
Broad daylight out here during the evening rush hour near the Suncoast Parkway. And right now the sheriff is fearing that this feud could get worse. This is Christopher Dirty Cosimano. We're told he's the president of the 69ers motorcycle gang.
But in the outlaw biker world, betrayal doesn't go unanswered. Wood had broken the one rule every member swears by: loyalty. But everyone knew who was behind it. Law enforcement strongly suspected the pagans carried out the hit as payback for his betrayal. It was a clear message: walk away from the Brotherhood and you're marked for life. Wood's death added more fuel to an already raging war.
Firearm last night near the crime scene, and they're working to confirm if it's the same gun used in Sunday night's shooting.
Very irresponsible, very erratic.
It's a fight that turned into a shooting, caught on surveillance video here outside the Circle K on Moody Boulevard.
On April 24th, 2018, a Hells Angels associate named Jeffrey Shank pulled into a gas station near Newark, New Jersey. It seemed like any normal day. He was just filling up his motorcycle, probably thinking about where he was headed next.
The Outlaws motorcycle club right here in Pasco County.
Sometimes bad things happen to bad people. But what we don't want is innocent people to get hurt.
The sheriff tells us this deadly feud started from a bar fight and road rage incident.
But while he was focused on the pump, a red Ford pickup truck quietly pulled in behind him. Inside were 3 men armed with baseball bats. They didn't say a word.
There was a shooting outside a Bronx barbershop. It happened May 30th on Jerome Avenue, right by Yankee Stadium. Police say after 2 men were denied entry to a party, one of them pulled out a silver gun and started firing. He then handed the gun to a second man who also fired shots.
When the Hells Angels opened a new clubhouse in the Bronx, it wasn't just a property move. It was a direct challenge. That area had been pagan territory for years, and the Angels knew exactly what they were doing. The message was loud and clear. We're here now. But the pagans weren't going to ignore it.
4 San Francisco Hells Angels now behind bars in connection to a shooting from July that left a man injured. The shooting happened in Fair Oaks on Tuesday. The suspects were served with search warrants.
On a quiet day in May 2020, Francisco Rosado stepped outside the Bronx apartment building where he worked as the superintendent. He had no idea that 2 masked men were waiting for him in a parked Jeep nearby.
But first, that breaking news out of Fall River. The Target 12 investigators have learned 7 people were sent to the hospital after a bike brawl broke out on Pleasant Street. We're told some of the injuries include lacerations, punctures, even blunt force trauma. Police say this happened just after noon between 2 rival motorcycle groups.
On May 14th, 2022, over 100 Hells Angels rolled into Fall River, Massachusetts, deep in pagan territory. The pagans had recently claimed the area, and the Angels weren't going to let that slide. What started as a planned show of force quickly turned violent. For the past little while, things between the Hells Angels and the pagans have been quiet, at least on the surface. But law enforcement isn't fooled. If you thought that was wild, wait till you see our next video. Subscribe to our channel for new updates, and comment down below about what else we should cover.